Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace.
Encarta 95 offers many ways to search for information. This set of highlights will describe some of the tools that will help you find what you want. You can always get help, so jump right in and start exploring. Encarta is a comprehensive reference source and a valuable research tool. Here are some of the ways Encarta can help you build reports quickly and easily. Encarta 95 is loaded with comprehensive and current information. Pictures, sounds, movies, and more bring this information to life.
The promise of religious and political freedom and hopes of economic opportunity attracted immigrants to America. After arriving in New York Harbor, many immigrants traveled to points across the United States. However, most settled in the rapidly growing industrial areas of the Northeast and Midwest.
Dvakrát měř, jednou řeš.
An electric motor converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. A DC motor uses direct current electricity that flows continuously in only one direction around a circuit. A DC motor consists of an armature that rotates within a magnetic field. The armature has a coil of wire wrapped around an iron core. A source of electricity is connected to brushes, which make contact with the commutator on the armature. The commutator is a kind of switch that changes the direction of current flow in the coil as it turns. The electric current flows from the source to the motor and back to the source in one direction. The current-carrying wires in the coil experience forces in the presence of the magnetic field. When current is flowing through the coil in the direction shown, the segment of wire near the south magnetic pole is pushed downward by the magnet. The segment near the north magnetic pole is pushed upward. In this way, the magnet causes the armature to turn. After each half turn, the commutator reverses the current. Forces on the coil reverse, and the turn is complete. The cycle repeats, making the movement continuous. Devices attached to the rotating armature shaft, such as pulleys and gears, can be used to perform any number of useful tasks.
Microsoft was founded based on my vision of a personal computer on every desk and in every home. We have never wavered from that vision.
A gift from France to the United States in 1886, the Statue of Liberty has become a global symbol of freedom. More than 12 million immigrants passed the statue, located on Liberty Island, on their way to Ellis Island. The promise of religious and political freedom and hopes of economic opportunity attracted immigrants to America. After arriving in New York Harbor, many immigrants traveled to points across the United States. However, most settled in the rapidly growing industrial areas of the Northeast and Midwest. Immigrants from more than 120 ethnic groups entered America through Ellis Island. At the immigration station, as many as 5,000 people were examined and registered each day. Often, a father or his oldest son made the voyage to America without his family. These men came alone to find jobs and establish residences, then sent for other family members later. Ellis Island was designated an official immigration station in 1890 and was opened in 1892. More than half of the immigrants who entered the United States between 1892 and 1931 passed through the station's gates.
I was very excited about it. I had no idea of distances. I used to try to imagine how far away it was because I was told it was far, far away, and it was difficult to imagine.
Do you remember at all what stories you'd heard?
Oh, just the stories that we didn't believe, actually. The streets were paved with gold. We did hear that, but I really didn't know much more. I certainly knew nothing of its size or the size of New York City. I had no idea. Mm-hmm. I didn't know what to expect.
Were you protective of your sister?
Yes, of course, at that time, sure.
Uh-huh.
Because on the boat I saw that she was so sick, and I had to figure out ways to keep her from dehydrating. And another thing, I heard that the ocean is vast, but what I saw was more than vast. It took almost 3 weeks, and I never thought that ship was going to make it to the shores of this country. Mm-hmm. At night, she was racking so badly, I thought that she was going to fall apart.
So can you remember, first of all, coming into the New York Harbor?
Yes.
What was that like?
It was beautiful. We were so elated. We were so happy. We stood all by the rail, and we were blessing America that we could get there. Yeah. It wasn't an easy trip, and it wasn't a light trip. But we got here. When they landed, they said, "What do you want? You want something to eat?" I says, "I want a good glass of milk." That's all I wanted. And the milk tasted like cream. It was delicious.
The guards, as we call them there, the customs officers and immigration officials, they slammed a tag on you with your name, address, country of origin, etc. Everybody was tagged. They didn't ask you whether you spoke English or not. Everybody was tagged. They took your papers and they tagged you. That was the first thing. You checked your bag. Then they pushed you. You know, they just push you. They'd point. They had too many, understaffed, overcrowded, jammed. And the place was the noise and the languages and the smell. I think, frankly, the worst memory I have of Ellis Island was the physical, because the doctors were seated at a long table with a basin full of potassium chloride, and you had to stand in front of them. I mean, it wasn't private, but it wasn't personal. It was very, looking back, I think it was impersonalized. But nevertheless, it's a very unpleasant memory, and I didn't. It was years later, I just thought they didn't have to do it that way. They must have been some other way. But remember, this was the height of immigration. They were coming in by the thousands. I mean, the day I was there, I said maybe 3, 4, 5,000. Who counts? You know what I mean?
Do you remember anything about the rail trip across the country?
Yes, because we just sat up all the time. And I remember they used to sell lunch boxes here.
Here at Ellis?
Right. And I remember my mother saying, we're going to buy enough stuff here to last us the whole way because we're not going to spend any more money. In Chicago, I remember getting out. I remember my mother's thinking I was looking rather peaked. So we're going around and looking, and she sees a pie that she says, Elder, you're going to have that. It's got egg yolks, and you need nourishment. And I don't like eggs. And and you know what it was? An open-faced apricot pie.
I see.
That's how much we knew about pies.
My mother went for her own papers. She had that independence. She says, I'm not a citizen on your papers, on my own. And my mother had trouble reading. We went to the judge's chambers that day where he was giving out who's going to pass and who isn't. And he asked my mother a few questions, and she answered them. And then he said, can you read? And I'll never forget this. She winked at him, what do you think, Your Honor? And she had a Russian accent. He said, oh, I'm sure you can. And she never read for him, and she passed. But she learned how to read. She loved to read.
Nant, tet, diet, tet, stat, jasht, pes, kater, tre, du, një, më quajnë Ferhat, faleminderit, po, jo, miku I mirë, njihet në ditë të vështirë. Lam të mirë. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tungjatjeta. Tungjatjeta. Më quajnë Ferhat. Më quajnë Ferhat. Gjuha shqipe. Faleminderit.
አመሰግናለሁ.
Faleminderit.
Thank you. Thank you. Goodbye. No. Yes. Hello. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Один. Нет.
Isaac Newton believed that a single idea could explain why objects fall to the ground and why the moon goes around the Earth. The Earth exerts a downward force on objects which causes them to speed up or accelerate when they fall. When an object is thrown horizontally, it experiences the same force and accelerates downward at the same rate as when it falls straight down. The faster the object is thrown, the farther it goes before hitting the ground. Newton imagined that if an object were launched with a very high speed, it would curve far around the surface of the Earth. With precisely the right velocity, an object would go into a circular orbit, continually falling toward the center of the Earth, but never getting any closer to the center. Still higher velocities would put the object into an elliptical orbit. Newton realized that the motion of falling objects, projectiles, and celestial bodies could all be understood by a single universal law of gravitation. Scientists today use Newton's law to compute the trajectories of space probes, which must be accurate over millions of miles. Our Earth is but one small part of a vast system of planets, satellites, asteroids, meteoroids, and comets that revolve around the Sun. 9 planets orbit the Sun and move in the same west to east direction. All of them, except the outermost, move in roughly the same plane. Mercury, then Venus, Earth, and Mars are small planets that are relatively close to the Sun. They are called terrestrial planets and consist chiefly of iron and rock. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are large gaseous planets. They probably contain little rock and iron, but are made up of hydrogen, helium, ammonia, and methane. Pluto, the farthest from the Sun, appears to be somewhat terrestrial, but is so small and distant, astronomers know little about it. Pluto's orbit is inclined relative to the orbits of the other planets. While the Earth has only one moon, most planets have several moons or satellites orbiting them. Asteroids are small, irregularly shaped fragments of rock that are located mostly in a circular belt between the orbits of Mars and Jupiter. Meteoroids are small chunks thought to be the result of asteroid collisions. Comets have a solid nucleus surrounded by a head or coma of dust particles and frozen gases. The characteristic comet shape comes from a long tail of dust and gas driven away from the coma by light and particles from the Sun. The Moon revolves around the Earth in a plane that is inclined slightly to the Earth's orbit. Eclipses occur when Earth, Moon, and Sun are aligned just right. When the Moon is between the Earth and the Sun, its dark side faces us. We call this a new moon. Most months, the moon does not block the sun's light. When the new moon occurs close to the sun's light is partially obscured. Under these circumstances, we see a partial solar eclipse. On rare occasions, the moon moves directly between the sun and the earth, blocking sunlight from reaching the earth. For a few moments, people standing at certain places on the earth can see a total solar eclipse. When the moon is on the opposite side of the earth from the sun, we see a full moon. At certain times, the moon passes directly through the center of the earth's shadow, or umbra. Then the full moon appears dark. This is called a total eclipse of the moon. When the moon just grazes the earth's shadow, passing within the penumbra, we see the full moon darkened slightly. This is a partial lunar eclipse. Since the moon is usually not directly in line with the sun and the earth's shadow rarely falls on the moon.
An ordinary light source produces many different wavelengths of light that go off in all directions. A laser is able to generate light waves of a single wavelength, all in step with each other and all traveling in the same direction. This makes laser light pure in color and extremely intense. The first laser was made of a ruby rod, mirrors, and a An ordinary light source produces many different wavelengths of light that go off in all directions.
How do pictures and sound appear on a television? The first step is to turn light waves and sound vibrations into an electronic signal. Microphones convert the sound waves. Video cameras process the light waves. The lens of the camera focuses the light from an image onto the target plate of a camera tube. The target plate is made up of photosensitive dots that register an electronic pattern. An electron gun scans the back of the plate. The brightness level of each dot is converted to an electrical signal. A camera tube can only create a black and white signal. To make color, we need 3 tubes, one for each primary color, red, green, and blue. A series of filtering mirrors splits the image into the 3 colors. The signals from these tubes are combined in the encoder and bundled with the audio signal. The resulting television signal can now be transmitted or sent out on cable. When the signal is received at the television, the audio signal is routed to an amplifier and speaker. The video signal is decoded and sent to the picture tube. 3 electron guns, one for each color, scan the screen. The screen is coated with clusters of red, blue, and green phosphor dots. A shadow mask keeps each beam in line with its own color dots. The continually changing combinations of glowing red, green, and blue dots produce the illusion of moving color pictures.
Siberia. Lena River. Let there be justice for all. Let there be peace for all.
It's one small step for man.
You don't understand. Willie was a